This is Anime Out of Context, a comedy review podcast hosted by a weeb of the highest order, alongside a cynical man who knows nothing about anime. Our show features spoilers, explicit language, and poor fact-checking. Neither of our hosts are experts on any topic, and none of their opinions should be taken as fact. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I cherish the value of opposable thumbs.
I'm Sean Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
Rem, I've got a confession to make.
Oh, okay. Is this finally where you confess your love to me?
No.
I'll be honest, it might anger one or both of our girlfriends.
I feel like your girlfriend just expects it at this point.
Yeah, no, all right, she'd be cool with it. That's true.
Because it's got to be said, Rem, you are a bit of a whore.
The impression you're giving our listeners. I could try to explain or clarify, but I like the mystery.
I will say, Rem has never cheated on anybody.
It's true.
He's very good, but he is still a bit of a whore.
Yes.
Yeah. So just interpret that as you will, whether it's through art or the medium of text.
Through art. Are you encouraging them to create art of me as a whore to some degree?
Just if they're gonna create art and they're gonna create art of you. I just feel like they should
make
have
sure
the freedom.
They have that whorish flair.
Yeah, just the freedom to, express themselves,
Oh, God. All right, well, what confession do you have for me, Sean?
I am not over Halloween being over.
I agree with that. It feels like it comes and ends so soon.
And, especially this year where we didn't get to be as spooky as we wanted to be.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of disappointment, I think, which we feel, I'm sure many of our listeners, they felt that as well.
Yeah, and so I thought that I would dip back into something a bit more edgy, a bit more dark, and a bit more horror-related.
Okay, I'm all in. I am all in to dark, edgy, horror-related.
Oh, yes. And today, I've got a bit of an interesting one for you, Rem. It's been requested quite a bit, because a lot of folks think that it'll be your bag, right up your alley.
Oh, yeah.
And other people will think that it's well, it's edgy. Oh, it's edgy.
Oh.
It's a very
boy.
edgy show.
Oh, boy.
Because, Remington, the show I have for you today is simply called Parasyte the Maxim.
All right. This wouldn't happen to be the anime adaptation of the Oscar-winning film The Parasyte, or rather just Parasyte, is it?
How sci-fi is that film?
Not very, admittedly.
Then probably not, Rem.
Damn. Okay. Follow up. Knowing it's a little bit sci-fi, is this the anime adaptation to John Carpenter's The Thing?
Well, actually.
Hey.
Funny you should mention that, Rem. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Hello?
Well, you kind of threw me off my groove there a little bit there, Rem.
How did I mean, that's not very common to happen, but I'm happy to have done my service.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you what you thought something called Parasyte the Maxim could be about. I was gonna do my whole spiel about trying to get you to guess what we're about to really get into, and it would have been a good standard bit for the episode. Something we've done before, something that people will be like, hey, I know what goes on in these bits. Usually Rem says something horribly wrong, and then we can laugh at him.
But then, 1 in 10 times, I am surprisingly accurate.
Yeah, holy shit. So
I take it this is in the 1 in 10 from the sounds of it?
Yeah, kind of, Rem.
Hell yeah.
Because it is a horror anime, sci-fi anime with lots of body horror specifically. That's where a lot of the fear comes in.
Okay. So a little bit Akira-esque.
Yes. Very Akira-esque, actually. So
alternatively, what was that one?
You gotta give me more than what was that one.
One of our least listened to episodes, the movie, it was real weird, but
Violence
it's
Voyager?
real good. Violence Voyager! Which, once again, quite worthwhile. Definitely a weird one.
It is very weird. It's probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life, but I enjoyed it.
So yeah, that sort of like that, Akira. That's the realm I'm imagining right now.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate realm. So the Japanese title is Kiseiju Sei no Kakuritsu,
yes.
but Parasyte is what most people call it because, I mean, yeah, and that's Parasyte spelled with a Y, by the way.
Of course, because it's sci-fi.
Yeah, you got, and the maxim has hyphens on either end of it.
All right, sure, why not?
Look, man, it's been a while since we've had like a very weirdly font and text-based title, so I feel like I had to emphasize it.
I'm sure our listeners are very thankful.
Oh,
So, tell me a little more about Parasyte Maxim.
Well, it's from our old friend. It's made by our old friends Madhouse. Remember Studio Madhouse?
I always get Madhouse mixed up with the other one,
Shaft?
Yeah. Those two, for some reason, I always get those two mixed up with one another.
Yeah, because we don't usually talk about studios, and I'd like to get...
They're one of the few studios that I know.
Yeah, that and KyoAni, of course.
Yep.
But Madhouse, as a reminder, are the folks who did Death Note, One Punch Man.
Okay, yeah.
Ore Monogatari.
Yeah.
So,
Some hits and
Chihaya Furu as
misses.
well.
Some hits and misses.
Place Further Than the Universe. You know, a lot of really, really good stuff mixed in with some interesting stuff.
Some interesting stuff he says for the shit.
But no, Madhouse is a very solid studio, and I like them quite a bit. And this time around, they've gone back to their roots of really dark and edgy style anime. So Parasyte, Rem, is a story about, you guessed it, parasites of the alien variety.
So what's our setting? Are we on Earth? Are we on a different planet? We on a
we
spaceship?
are on Earth, and our main character is actually just a normal Japanese teenager.
Okay.
And here's the weird thing, Rem. They actually do look like teenagers in this.
My God.
Like it has a horror-esque style, so there's a lot of sharp lines to everything. So all of the people older than teenagers look older than teenagers, and the teenagers themselves actually look like they're not fully adults but are about to be.
Are you telling me that in this anime, you don't have the age dichotomy of you are either 7 years old, 23 years old, or like a senior?
Basically.
Because many other anime, that's the choices you have.
Yeah, and like our main protagonist isn't pointlessly ripped for no reason.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. I like it.
In fact, our protagonist is actually kind of a bit of a nerd.
All right, so far our protagonist is just Sean, Japanese Sean.
Okay, listen here. Just because it's a nerd does not mean you have to throw all the shade in my particular direction. Oh, goodness. Oh, there we are. But no, our show's main character is simply a 16-year-old high school student named Shinichi Izumi.
All right, good old Shinichi.
Yep, he's a bit of an awkward, nerdy guy, fairly introverted, doesn't really talk much, has a couple friends, but not too many, and is, just kind of going through life until one night, he wakes up in the middle of the night, with what appears to be a bug, getting on him. He freaks out.
That's why you always have to make sure you close your windows at night.
Yes,
Keep
very
yourself
much
nice
so.
and secure.
Exactly. And he wakes up because he actually has a crippling fear of bugs.
That's fair.
Which, I can understand and respect. And the bug flies onto him. He wakes up, he sees the bug, smacks it away, and it tries to jump back on him, jumps onto his arm, and starts burrowing into his arm.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God.
Yep. And so, doing the only thing he could think to stop it, he grabs his headphone cables and makes a tourniquet around his arm to prevent it from crawling further up into his body.
Oh, boy. All right. Here we go. We're getting into it, boys.
Oh, yes, we are. And then the next day, Shinichi, some weird things are happening with our boy here. He's his hand doesn't really feel the same anymore. Like it feels a bit off, a bit weird. And
I mean,
it's
frankly,
occasionally
that
just
could...
acting of its own accord.
I don't know, man. Could just be the lack of blood going to it.
What, you saying cutting off the circulation in your arm for an extended period of time could cause problems?
A little bit, yeah. It might not be medically sound. Maybe you visit a doctor.
Yeah, you'd think that. Although I will just clarify, due to my limited medical training, I will say a tourniquet is actually much safer than people say it is. Like, you can have a tourniquet on for a decent amount of time and still be fine. It's when you leave it on for like a long ass time is when it can be problematic.
Yeah.
But that being said, next day his hand is kind of weird. It's kind of occasionally like getting stuck on.
He hasn't handled any of this for a day. You have a bug in your arm and you just go about living your life?
Yeah, I mean,
what the fuck?
like he looked at his arm after he stopped it and there wasn't like a wound, so he might have thought it was some kind of weird nightmare, as you do.
But he keeps the tourniquet on?
No. He tourniqueted it off. And he was freaking out. His parents came in and they were like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And he's like, "There's a bug in my arm." And they're like, "Oh yeah, where?" And they're like, "Right here. Don't you see the blood in the hole?" "Oh, there's no blood. There's no hole." "Oh, I see. I must have been mistaken."
It's an easy mistake to make,
I mean, haven't you ever woken up with night terrors before, Rem?
Yeah, a night of bath salts, you wake up, bugs are all over, and you're like, ah, shit.
That's just a regular Tuesday for you, is it?
Tuesday, 3 a.m. sharp.
Amazing. But yeah, no. And his hand is weird. It keeps getting like caught on things. It feels like it's acting of its own accord occasionally. It just doesn't feel right.
And this motherfucker still thinks like, oh, who needs to visit a doctor?
Well, he does start to think that later down the line. But something kind of stops him. And that something is when his hand grows eyes and a mouth and starts talking to him.
Oh God! All right. Yeah. That'll fuck you up.
Yep. And Remington, what this show is about Shinichi dealing with his new arm that has been replaced by this Parasyte, who affectionately is called Migi, which is just right because it's his right arm.
Can I know I'm almost positive this isn't the route this is gonna go, but you know what I would love to see?
What's that?
I would love for this to just end up as just like a buddy film style show, right?
Right.
But like super edgy in the style, but just like breaking that and having them like sass each other, but eventually they just start to get along and then they're just best buds, him and his right arm,
Yeah.
I would, don't get me wrong, I love some spooky, edgy bullshit, what the fuck is going on? But I would also love that type of subversion.
I will say there are moments of levity because Migi wants to learn everything, and all it really wants to do is survive. And the thing is, Migi is not the only parasite.
Yeah, there can't only be one.
Nope. And so Migi tries to learn things and research things and experiment with things because it's think of it as like a machine that wants to learn, but it's all organic. That's basically the kind of personality we're going for with Migi.
Okay.
Yep. And the show is simply about them trying to survive as well as trying to figure out what the hell is going on and not be murdered by the parasites that were a bit more successful.
All right. I like the premise so far.
Yeah, no, it's a very solid premise. Came out in fall of 2014 and was very well received at the time. So hopefully, Rem, you'll find something to enjoy about it.
All right. I'm optimistic. Fingers crossed. Let's do this shit.
All right, let's get back into some spooky stuff with Parasyte, the Maxim.
It got into my hand and it went bad. So I lopped it off at the wrist. But that didn't stop it.
Oh, I have a parasite.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after consuming 4 whole episodes of Parasyte, Maxim. And Remington, is it just me, or does your hand feel a little bit weird, a little bit off?
A little bit tingly, it's been talking to me, but that's pretty status quo.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about our girlfriends all the time, but it's really weird to bring them up by name.
Sean, I have a question about Parasyte before we really delve into things. I don't need to know everything about what people are saying about Parasyte quite yet. I have a simpler question, Sean.
Okay.
I'm sure that you have read in your preparation quite a bit of feedback and reviews of this show, right? I
This
just
is
want to
correct.
know if in these reviews, if like the following words show up, if the words deep, dark, psychological, philosophical, cerebral, any of those words have a tendency to pop up in people's reviews.
Well, let's see. Just off the top of the cuff, a couple. There's a
Yep.
couple.
All right, God help us all. All right, so let's jump right in to Parasyte the Maxim. Don't worry, I'll explain further. But boy, oh boy, I'll let me be upfront. Let me lay my cards out on the table. If you are a big fan of Parasyte, if you wrote a review that had any of those words that I listed or would describe Parasyte with any of those words, you may not like what I have to say.
Uh-oh. Well, here we go. I try to be nice and give you another horror-esque show, and this is what I'm met with.
Well, and you know what? We recently did Talentless Nana, right? I want to
Correct.
put that one to the side because I'm going to make a comparison at the end with Talentless Nana
Okay.
and Parasyte.
So we'll put a pin in that for now.
Yep. But you know, let's just jump right in. Episode 1 of Parasyte the Maxim, right? It opens, it has a strong opening with, we just see a house and then there's two people and this guy, his face opens up. Very similar to like Demogorgon from Stranger Things, if you, to have an easy image for those who haven't seen it. That's what his face does, just eats the other person and just murks them. And that's how we open, which is a strong opening. That's a nice, intense, dramatic opening. Hell yeah, all in. Then we go from there to in media res. We have our protagonist, Shinichi? Yeah.
Yep.
Shinichi, he's having breakfast with the fam and he's like, oh man, my arm is real weird and oh boy. And they're just talking about the incident that happened. Then we don't at this stage see exactly what happened. Instead, he's on his way to school walking, and then his friend and his love interest shows up behind him, goes for a nice playful karate chop from behind to surprise him. He catches it, turns with his magic hand, turns around, just starts groping her, which that'll set the pace in large part for this show. This show has a very strange fascination with molestation and sexual assault. It's one of the only crimes that this show knows of, but also is sometimes okay with, like, this example. It's a bit weird. We'll get into that more, but just keep that in mind. Finally, Sean, we get a flashback of exactly what happened. A little parasite worm trying to dig into his head. He eats it. It burrows into his arm. He does the fastest tourniquet you have ever seen in your life. Like, it's crawling up his arm at a frightening pace, and then we just get a cut and the tourniquet is on. Like half a second it took to grab his headphone wires and apply the tourniquet. Man, he's probably the best at applying tourniquets out of literally anybody at that speed.
I mean, it doesn't take a genius to take a cable and wrap it around your arm, my man.
No, but can you do so in less than a second? Can you grab these wires and apply the tourniquet in, I would say, like a fourth of the second, actually. That's like the pace that needs to happen. But that's one of the lesser errors, don't you worry. I understand. That's a little bit of a nitpicky issue. There are way worse. So after that, we cut back to we get back to Shinichi, right? He's walking home and he's thinking about how weird his hand is and what's going on. And then a little girl runs into the street as a car is coming. And so apparently the hand is capable. He just stops the car. He stops the car immediately with his super great alien hand, right? It rams into him. Momentum not conserved. Don't worry about that. that. It's anime physics. You get used to it. And no one cares that happened. No one gives a damn. The little girl's mom, the person in the car, none of them give a shit.
Well, it's more along the lines of, oh my god, what just happened? Freaking out, and then he kind of runs away before they can really do anything about it.
I suppose, but there's a solid few moments there where it's like, oh, are you okay, child? Okay. Person in the car, they don't even exist. It's just an inanimate car as far as we're concerned.
Well, they're probably dead behind the wheel, if we're honest.
Yeah, but nobody cares about man who just stopped an entire car with his hand. Don't worry about it. So he goes home and he's like, oh God, what's going on? And then, his face, his hand has a face now. Ho ho! And not only does it have a face, it has a very distinct face. It has the same exact features as the Ojama cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! You know the Ojama trio from Yu-Gi-Oh!
I'm
Sean?
familiar, Rem, but I'm surprised that you pulled that because that was in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
And it's a spot-on goddamn comparison. The lips, the tentacle eyes, it's from the same planet. It's all the same shit, I'm telling you. Shinichi, he decides, it'd be reasonable to Google, like, what the fuck is going on, right? As you would, I think. That's fair. That's a rational step forward. I'm sure you would agree, Sean.
Right.
And he can't find anything. So there's some weird, very blatant, not necessarily plot holes, but just like world building discrepancies in this show. And it's from the impression it's given, these creatures, these parasites are everywhere, right? Globally, they are everywhere. Just in like this Japanese neighborhood block alone, there's like 3 or 4 of these things. And we're told it is a global phenomenon. However, amazingly, Shinichi is the first one that it didn't work on. He's the first one to like wake up and sort of stop it-ish. No one else even came close. No one else has even noticed anything, which, okay, maybe he is. Maybe it's notable because he's the first one. But then later on, like, we're told about these crazy murders happening all over the globe because these parasites are killing a bunch of people. But then after days of these global catastrophic murders, it's like, oh man, it's up to 84. Really? Only 84? When there's like dozens of them per city, presumably, given the information we know. It's not that there is a contradiction anywhere. It's just that it is inconsistent with what it's trying to give. It doesn't add up, Sean. It doesn't fucking add up.
Well, numbers
just want
are
the
hard,
aliens
Remington.
to make some goddamn... don't get me wrong, I understand numbers are hard. Math can be difficult. Oh boy. But you at least need to try. Like, it ruins the sense of immersion and the suspension of disbelief when you're just so wildly inconsistent with your world building. Just, you can just say that, like, oh, it's not global. Actually, it's isolated in Japan for now, but it's likely to spread out. Even something like that would help make it make a little bit more sense. A little bit more. But no, that's not how it goes. It's a little bit dumb, a little bit stupid. But whatever. Okay, little world building discrepancies. Maybe that's just not what they care about. So, we get various scenes of miscellaneous corpses, which are deemed the mincemeat murders, and they are identified as a common trend globally, which is one hell of a thing, because you would have imagined, especially because now knowing that after a few days it has risen to 84, like 6 people have been brutally killed or something by the time the news story happens, but already it's a global phenomenon and they've attached it all. I don't know, man. If someone gets like brutally murdered in Brazil and then someone else gets brutally murdered in New Zealand, I would not suspect that there's a common trend towards those things, even if they were similar, because like there are lots of murders, unfortunately, every day. I don't know, man. Seems a little dumb. Seems a little bit dumb. But whatever. Maybe we need to focus more on the characters, Sean. So, Shinichi, he's got a hand talking to him. He is now aware of multiple deaths and understands that these are caused by similar creatures as his hand, right? So, you would think, all right, well, now I need to start telling people about this, right? I need to start communicating to the authorities. And Shinichi, he thinks about it, but he immediately discards it. He says he can't tell his mom or dad. He does not list a reason. He can't go to the police. They'd think he's crazy. He says if they ran tests in a hospital, it'd be a big mess. He doesn't really explain what that even means. Like, what do you mean it'd be a big mess? What are you talking about? It's just plot convenience, Sean. It's just so that he doesn't do anything. And that's a little irritating. And later on, he starts to consider these things and like the hand will talk him out of it and persuade him out of it, which could have been a good scene if he hadn't already decided not to do these things. Like, it sort of removes the tension. So it just doesn't feel meaningful or consistent. And it's just that Shinichi is real fucking dumb. He's just a dumbass. And there's so many, ideally in a story, and I hate how often I have to mention it on this goddamn podcast. Ideally in a story, you have character motivations that are reasonably understood and explained. So we understand the characters, what they're going for, why they act the way they do. We think that, okay, fair enough, given the information you know and who you are and your motivations, that does seem like a reasonable way that you would act, rather than, what the fuck, you dumbass? It's like in the horror, it's, why are you going into the basement? Why are you splitting up? Oh my god, what the fuck? But the answer is, well, they're in a horror movie, and they need to die, so that's what they need to do. It's not good storytelling, it's just convenient, and Parasyte, like so many other anime that we've covered, falls into that trap hard and often. Fortunately, even though it didn't get to his brain, it also starts changing his personality immediately. He used to be completely phobic of bugs. Now a spider walks by and he's totally fine with it, just unfazed. Which is a quick change that's not super explained. But we're told this repeatedly throughout the show so far. People will be like, Shinichi, you've changed. You're a different kind of guy, Shinichi. But like, we don't know who the fuck Shinichi was before this. He was a blank slate of a man who turns into, I guess, slightly less blank slate of a man. And we don't see the change, but oh boy, we are told that he has changed. Okay, sure. I guess that's how character development works. You just tell us that it happened. The episode, it reaches an end as Migi, the hand, is like, oh, there's another one of me around. Let's go towards it. And Shinichi's like, I don't know, but they go towards it. And then they find a dog, which is great. Love a dog. Good dog. But it's an infected dog. Parasyte was trying to get in a human. Instead, it got into a dog. And then Migi is like, oh god, let's actually run now. And so they start running, and the dog, it opens up into this horrendous winged face creature, starts flying. Nobody sees this H.R. Geiger flying dog. Nobody notices at all, including the people they recently passed by. Don't worry about it. And oh man, it's coming. It's gonna be a fight. And Migi just throws itself takes out the dog's heart and wins the fight. And that's the battle. That's, oh man, what suspense! And that's the first episode, Sean.
I just want to clarify, it is only located in Japan. Just different provinces in Japan.
It said, I swear to God, it said worldwide or global.
I just checked.
All right, I'm going to assume that maybe there was just some weird subtitling going on.
That is definitely a possibility. I just read through the first 5 chapters of the manga while you were ranting. Because that didn't sound right to me either, and I was very confused.
All right. That helps it in one small regard. Not entirely. But in this very specific instance, congratulations, Parasyte.
I will say, much more graphic in the manga, also much uglier.
Yeah, that's fair. It did feel like one of the masters of this style, it's in the anime style as well, or I suppose manga rather, is Junji Ito, right? He's like the dude for it. And it definitely at times felt like a bit of a sanitized version of Junji Ito. Like if you decided to add more of a shonen flair to Junji Ito and sanitized it that way, not entirely. There's still some neat body horror going on. But it's we alluded to like possible comparisons to like an Akira or Violence Voyager. Definitely doesn't reach those levels. I think we can agree.
I will also add that one thing I forgot to mention, I believe, was that the manga was originally written in 1998 to 1995.
I mean, it makes a little bit more sense. That's before they knew how to write stories.
Ouch. Jesus Christ. Ouch. Fucking hell, man. Are you trying to piss people off now?
So we get to episode 2. Episode 2, it starts a trend that will continue. We open the episode with sexual assault. These 3 guys, they are trying to sexually assault this woman in, I don't know, it was like a subway or something, or an alleyway, I can't remember. But a businessman comes and saves her from them. They leave, but they are ambushed by these guys as well. But then his face opens up and he kills all of them. Just by slicing them with his slicey Demogorgon face. At this stage, there was a brief like monologue bit, and then with this and like saving the girl, there's this implication that at least some of the parasites are trying to save some humans in some circumstances. It hasn't been explored super deeply, and it's contradicted by many others.
That parasite just
weird.
wanted to save the girl to get her alone so he could eat her.
It feels wildly unnecessary. Okay, then that just brings back the question on I'm back to, because one inconsistency I noticed in part 1, but then forgave after this, I suppose, was I have no idea why the hand saved the little girl at all. Doesn't make any sense.
Because it was protecting the body because Shinichi jumped in front of a car?
All right, follow-up question. Why did Shinichi jump in front of a car?
To protect the little girl because that's what people do sometimes?
I have a question, Sean.
Yes?
I'm on train tracks. Okay, Sean? Train is hurtling towards me, Sean. You're right there. Do you jump in front of the train tracks? Is that what you do, Sean? Is that how you try to save me?
I mean, that's a little bit of a false equivalence. I can survive getting
sorry.
hit by a car. By a train, nobody survives.
This car was going quite fast, as evidenced by the damage done. The car is fucking totaled. The car is wrecked after crashing into the hand. So, like, either way, you're not gonna survive. And you also can't imagine you're going to stop the vehicle. It's just very poorly handled. Just dumb. It's just so many inconsistencies and things that, sure, I guess. And that's like most of the explanations here. It's just, okay, yeah, I guess so, if it has to be that way. Feels wildly unnecessary and borderline nonsensical at times. Ultimately, it's like, are there blatant contradictions? No, at least not any or many that I noticed. Is there a ton of inconsistencies and unnecessary plot devices? Oh boy, yeah. Yes. This story is so unnaturally told, Sean. We'd have that bit with the businessman and all the murder. Then we get back to Shinichi. He's playing basketball. He is also real good at basketball, because all you need to be great at basketball is an alien hand. The rest of you can do whatever, but as long as you got an alien hand, you're great at basketball. And now the girl he molested with his alien hand, he's like, him and another friend, they make her forgive him, but she's fine with it because she didn't actually care to be that she was molested that much, because she has a crush on him anyway, so it's fine, I guess. But her showing the very slightest amount of affection angers the bully, Nagai. So this person we've just been introduced to, who's playing basketball with them, he meets Shinichi afterwards, and he's like, hey, but how dare this girl show very minor affection to you? I like this girl. So actually, we have to fight now. And like, it's, oh god, it's as if you were trying to do an overblown parody of toxic masculinity in a character. Unfortunately, this character is not a parody. This character's taken quite seriously. It's meant to be like, oh man, he's such an asshole. Oh boy, totally realistic for this to happen. But no, this isn't how the world works. It's so forced. It's stupid. The characterizations are so one-dimensional. It hurts me, Sean. And sure, Shinichi has the tiniest bit of depth to him at times, but every other character is the flattest thing around, and it hurts me because it's trying to use these different characters to tell the story. In this example, the right hand, it saves him from the bully. Cool. Okay. And then it jacks him off in the bathroom later. This is the show. This is what's happening. Oh God. All right. So we learned that the creatures specialize. The parasites, they specialize in cannibalism. Whatever creature they get into, they cannibalize, which makes no sense, and they sort of acknowledge later on that it doesn't really make sense. But you need them to be threatening. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's part of the mystery as well, is the idea of where did these things come from and why do they do the things they do?
Okay, well, we've been given sort of an answer, Sean, that we'll get to later. The directive. But once again, why? It doesn't feel like it makes much sense at all. And then we meet another one of the creatures, right? It's following Shinichi. So Shinichi goes to an isolated location so that he can face off with it. Because now, as the hand tells him, you are now numb to fear. And they briefly allude that it's like, I guess he wants to save his high school crush. And so now he is fine with fighting to the death. Oh, okay. Seems like some awkward pacing you have on that development, but okay. So this other monstrosity, it's like, hey, right hand, join me, be my right hand. And then they get ready to fight, and then the fight immediately ends and the hand wins because it just cuts him up. Okay. Like, you might think, well, you're oversimplifying these fights, surely. No, I'm literally not. Each fight thus far has been a 5-second fight with one move apiece. I'm not exaggerating here. I mean, sure, it's not like you need these fight scenes, but it feels anticlimactic for the tension that you're trying to build. Like, oh no, they're about to be found out. This evil monstrosity, it could potentially kill. Oh no, it's not gonna kill. It's gonna get its ass whooped, actually. Ooh, tension. Like, I don't know, man. That's not how you build tension. What's going on? What am I missing here, Sean?
I don't really know if you're missing much of anything, honestly. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Oh God, it hurts me on the inside. So then on the way, they like we have a bit where Shinichi and his crush, they go out for pancakes, and then on their way back, they cross a park where some kids have buried a cat up to its head in sand and are throwing rocks at the cat's head. Right, obviously fucked up. And it's here that I'm starting to understand one of the underlying messages of Parasyte. But first, an acknowledgement. This show has it has two settings for characters. You are either a good guy or you are the most relentlessly and psychotically evil being to ever exist. That's all. Just almost every character is the biggest asshole. Not even just like a little bit of asshole, but you see the nuance in their character. No, they just exist to be evil, and their motivation is to be evil, and that's all there is. Because Sean, I at this point I understood the message it's going for, real subtle, but one of the underlying messages is, no, the real parasite, the real monsters is humanity. Don't you get it, guys? Sure. All right. Awesome. Oh, the show tilts me so hard, Sean. It tilts me so fucking hard.
Oh man, it's gonna tilt you even more when I start reading these reviews to you.
Oh, fuck. I don't know if I'm ready. We get to episode 3. As is tradition, we start with molestation. This time, it's in a train. So this guy, he molests a parasite woman. Once the train stops, she calls him out and then yeets him out of the train, and he's beat up and everything. All right. I don't understand why there's been like so much sexual assault. I think it's just because like the show is like, what's real bad? This happens because humanity is bad. Yeah. And like that's the thinking of it. But it is a bit weird, especially because then you counter that with Shinichi casual molestation and that just being pretty much ignored for the most part. A little bit weird. They walk to school and they have an assembly, right? And the hand is like, oh God, one of them is in this room right now. Which by the way, the hand detects others through brain waves. All right, sure, cool. We'll say that makes any amount of sense. And so here's the introduction. So the assembly, evidently, for all we know, it's just to introduce a new teacher, right? Cool. All right. Introduce a new teacher to the school. And do you want to hear dialogue to introduce this teacher, Sean?
Sure.
Here is your new math teacher, who, by the way, was hospitalized in a car crash the other day. Oh, we're just sharing random facts, I see. We're just... Here is your new chemistry teacher. He just got out of the hospital for his ass cancer. And then, oh yes, former felon, Miss Taylor over there, we see you. Like, what's going on? How is that? How is that your opener?
Don't be ridiculous, Rem. This isn't America. They wouldn't hire a felon.
I don't understand how, like, that's the dialogue they went with. Just... It's the most unnatural shit. So the teacher, the new teacher, obviously she's a parasite woman, and the right hand is like, oh God, don't look into her eyes, otherwise she'll know. And he looks into her eyes so she knows, because the brain waves that travel through your eyeballs.
Well, I mean, it's more like they could both sense each other, and he is in a crowd, so was hard to get a pinpoint accurate. But if the person who's looking directly in the eye, it make more likely. That's the general
what does
idea.
that mean? But how though, Sean? Explain to me more. All you've done is describe what happened, Sean.
I mean, if the rule's established that they can sense each other, it makes sense that the one you're trying to sense, if they're looking directly at you as well, then maybe that's the right person. I don't know.
But everyone's looking at her. It's an assembly.
Yeah, not making eye contact, though.
What do you mean? Oh, God. All right, moving on. In class, in the math class with the new math teacher, Shinichi, he's not writing anything down. He's obviously quite distracted. The teacher shows up and just points out, Shinichi, you haven't written anything down. And then the entire class laughs. But of course, we all knew those moments where, as we're writing our math down and doing our work, a teacher shows up and is like, hey, make sure you do your work. And we're all like, ha, fucking got him. We've all been there. Oh. I'm gonna die before the review is over, Sean. This show, even just like reliving it, killing me on the inside.
I mean, I'm going through a lot of reviews right now, and I feel like these are going to be the thing that actually kills you.
Oh God. So, one note. We get another conversation with the hand, right? Migi. And Migi follows in on a long line of very annoying tropes, which is Migi is an attempt at being a perfectly rational being, right? And the implication is that there are other parasites that are also just like perfectly rational. They make fun of humans for being irrational. But this show does what like almost every show with this trope does. And by perfect rationality, it just means being irrationally selfish in ways that don't make logical sense at all. Basically, Miki has just read too much Ayn Rand, is how it goes.
Oh, Jesus.
And so their idea of rationality is being an asshole, a selfish asshole, and that's all it is. And you know what, Sean? I feel like this show, it's almost as deep and philosophical as Ayn Rand. Almost there.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
For some,
I'm gonna get emails.
For some, they will take that as a compliment and want to watch Parasyte right away. I disagree with those people, but hey, for whatever it's worth.
Oh man, what I love is people who are Googling that right this second.
Hey,
Trying to be
Sean,
like, well, what's this?
I mean, many people think that the writings and literature of Ayn Rand has a lot of depth and nuance and thought and intelligence put behind it. So, you know, all of those people interpret what I said as a compliment. Just, it's easier that way.
Oh, we're gonna get so many emails.
I just want a bonus episode of just me railing against Ayn Rand. All right, anyway, this is not talking about Ayn Rand. This is talking about something amazingly even worse. So we get a meeting with the teacher, right? They meet in the school, and the teacher is like, I've never seen a case like yours before, which implies that she has seen many cases already, but so far the implication is, especially with Migi, that like they don't have memories before they got into a host, and they haven't been there for a long time. Migi himself hardly knew what he was and needed to see other examples to learn more. So you'd imagine others are in the same boat. So this implies that this woman has seen so many cases for this to be a proper anomaly. Which, once again, it's not a contradiction or a plot hole. Does feel like a weird inconsistency that doesn't make sense with the information we have been provided. They decide to meet again in a diner. This time the teacher brings Mr. A. Mr. A casually separates his head in the diner, but like nobody notices. It's fine. Don't worry about it. They pull a lot of stops to keep this shit under wraps. By they, I don't mean the actual parasites who are very flagrant about their usage. I mean the writers of the show who just, I imagine for some reason during this time, everybody in Japan was like blind and deaf also.
Oof.
Or at least as soon as they're off screen, they are. The moment you are off screen on this show, you lose all senses. That's the only way this all falls into line. So, Mr. A, you can tell he's just a total asshole and he hates Shinichi, because Shinichi's dangerous for reasons. So they have a conversation, that doesn't really go anywhere. They mention, teacher and Mr. A, they fucked and now she's pregnant with a normal human baby, which, you know, it is impressive to learn that you are pregnant like a day after a single, sexual attempt. That is, whew.
I mean, the implication is the parasites have complete understanding of the body they're inhabiting.
I don't know, man. They've had to learn a lot about it, and they seem to be surprised at times as well. So, like, I understand what you are saying, and I think they would agree with that, but there was also sufficient evidence within the show that is contrary to exactly what you've said. So, it's like, I think what you've just said is what they think they are doing. And they're just, I guess, unaware of the examples where that isn't the case in the show. Or they just don't care. I don't know. But, you know, whatever. We go back to school, Sean, right? Everyone's back at school. And Migi, the hand, is like, there's another one. It's him, Mr. A. He's returned. Mr. A shows up. He's attacking. He kills a couple of the teachers real quick.
He doesn't kill them. He just knocks them out.
He knocks them out so they don't have a first-hand account of him being an alien, because we can't have that. He does kill some people on his way. They do mention that explicitly. Sean?
Yep.
So, I mean, we grew up in the great American educational system, right?
And I wouldn't call it great, but yes.
With that, one of the things we have, for better or worse, is like active shooter drills or similar things where like there's a threat on campus, right?
Right.
So evidently, this school is going through an actual example of this. Not a drill. There's an actual person who they believe has a knife or some other blade and is an active threat in the school.
Correct.
Sean, could you just very quickly give me a brief like overview of how like an active shooter or intruder drill, how that tends to go? Just the main beats. What you're trying to accomplish, what the main goals are, what they try and do with it.
I mean, generally speaking, when there's an active shooter drill, which this was, by the way, grained into our heads as we are Americans, and these happen all too frequently because, you know.
God bless America.
Yeah. Generally speaking, if there's a dangerous person on campus, you want to stay inside your classroom and lock the door and turn out the lights and be as quiet as possible while you wait for the cops to show up.
So, Sean, are you telling me that it would be unwise to evacuate all of the students at once into crowded hallways and then have them wait outside?
Well, to be fair, Remington.
Are you telling me that might in fact be the exact opposite of what you would want to do?
Well, to be fair, Remington.
Because I have some news about what happens in Parasyte.
To be fair, Remington, it's a different country and they don't have this problem.
Okay, here, let me give it some advice to, apparently, if Parasyte's to be believed, only Americans are capable of knowing if there's someone around who is a violent threat. Don't go out in the open and don't bring others blatantly out into the open with you. Apparently that needs to be said. In my opinion,
it was also the 80s, so I mean that's a little different. It was a different
I
time.
don't think that's a good defense. I feel...
Look, kids die all the time in the 80s. You don't really need to worry about one or two being lost. You just gotta get the majority out.
I love the mentality. It's like, no, they didn't even care about preserving. Hell, if a few students got lost, maybe the teacher-student ratios would be a little better,
Yeah. Joke's on them, though, because Japan has a underpopulation problem now, so birth rates have declined. It's truly tragic.
The kids, they look out the window, and they're like, wait, one of them is like, wait, isn't that the intruder? And they point to a middle-aged man, which is correct, but that also implies, like, apparently the student knows, like, every single adult in the entire building and knows that this guy's because we have not gotten a description of the intruder. I mean, as the audience we have, but the students haven't. But Parasyte dialogue don't give a shit, son. Finally, final episode, 4th episode. All right, here we go. The end of the 3rd episode had Shinichi escaping from the other students to face Mr. A head on so that there wouldn't be any other casualties, right? He comes up with a plan with his hand that's like, all right, hand is going to defend with all the blades. And then, Shinichi, you just take a table leg and stab him. There we go. That's the plan. So, once again, suspense is building, Sean. It's getting those thriller elements. Shinichi is in danger. Boy, oh boy, is he gonna pull it off. We get to the fight. Mr. A separates his head, starts throwing these fleshy blades all around, and attacking. Migi is defending with his own fleshy blades. And then Shinichi just hits him with the table stick, just impales him with the table stick. And that's the fight. That's once again, that's the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, once again, I don't need there to be intense fight scenes, but you're building false suspense at this point. You're like, oh no, he's in trouble. Oh God, how is he gonna get out of this? Just this way, actually. It's just super straightforward. It's as if you had like a treasure hunt, right, Sean? And it was like, all right, will you ever be able to find the treasure? Oh yeah, it's just right over there around the corner, actually. Just right there. Huh. All right, well, I guess didn't need to be that worried after all. The solution was that fucking easy.
I mean, to be fair.
Then, oh yes, please do defend these fights, Sean, and this great suspense.
I mean, Mr. A didn't die. He didn't die from it, so
It's true. He starts like bleeding out. He pushes the table leg a little further. You might think, oh, will the fight continue? But then Migi has ample chance to like finish off Mr. A. And he's even like, hey, Shinichi, let's finish the job off. And Shinichi's like, no, that would make me a killer. Which touches on one of the other themes that this show is trying to do. I've already mentioned the theme of like humans are the real baddies. We're the real parasite or virus, blah, 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 whatever variation of that you want. But they also want this theme of Shinichi like losing his humanity. He starts out as such an innocent boy, but oh man, is this gonna change him? But like, first of all, I don't care. Second of all, the character development and the pacing has been god awful up to this point. So none of it feels warranted ever. And he's like, oh God, wouldn't that make me a murderer? But already his hand has killed another parasite and a dog. So like, you're there, bud.
No. See, that was his hand, Remington.
But then why doesn't Migi just finish the job? Migi's the one who wants to, and Migi can extend like 10 yards forward, which is the distance of Mr. A, so Migi doesn't even need to be consulting Shinichi right now. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, the hand is curious about the human intent and thought process.
Sure. Why not? So you're like, oh, they're just gonna let Mr. A get away, and then maybe he'll live and come back later. And he starts talking. Mr. A is like, if I find another host, perhaps the math teacher Parasyte. So he can sense her. He goes in the chemistry lab where the math teacher has let out a bunch of oxygen into the air and lights a match or something. I can't remember. She sets fire. There's a big old explosion in there, and the math teacher jumps out, which you might think all of the students are outside just waiting. Surely, as they're looking at this huge explosion that just happened, they see their math math teacher falling from the window. No, don't worry about any of that. None of that. Don't worry.
To be fair, it's a pretty big school. I mean, they were probably on the opposite side of the building, Rem.
It's a huge school, and there are only like 12 students. Don't worry about it.
Well, after you discount the sacrificial scapegoat students that we left for the slasher, the population wasn't that big anymore.
We then get to an administration meeting with all like teachers, principal, etc. And they're like, "So, math teacher, you're pregnant and you're a single woman? How scandalous and terrible! I don't know about this." Which, might I just say, they're obviously assholes. If you are a pregnant woman, even if you're still single, there are still so many jobs you can do, including teaching. Fuck them. But she's just like, "Oh man, I must change my form then. I can no longer be this woman." And she just tells that to everyone. Which you might think that's a weird thing for the Parasyte to do, but like, you have to understand, us as the audience need to know her intentions that blatantly.
Well, I mean, also, it was the 80s, Rem.
That's just the go-to defense now. Just like anything that's going on, just any plot hole in any anime, anything you think is bad storytelling, it was the 80s. Now, some stories you may not think were the 80s, but if they had a little bit of bad storytelling in them, it was the 80s.
I mean, to be fair, man, have the 80s truly died?
It's the universal defense. It's the ultimate panacea to bad anime. 'Twas the 80s.
And look, if the 80s didn't happen yet, then it was clearly like the 70s. I mean, come on.
Then Shinichi and the math teacher, they start talking. And math teacher is like, "Actually, I think I might be evil, actually." And Shinichi is like, "Oh man, maybe we have to like kill her. But she has like a normal human baby inside of her, so I don't know, man. What is the moral thing to do?" And this is presented as like a deep moral quandary. But I mean, sure, I guess you got a little bit of a trolley problem going in there, but it's a trolley problem hastily drawn in crayon, if anything. It just feels very juvenile and not well explored and horribly uninteresting. And then she's like, she starts talking. All right, so now it acknowledges, hey, isn't it weird how like they have to be cannibals? Especially like Migi, he's fine. He just sustains himself on the bloodstream of Shinichi. And so Shinichi brings that up. He's like, hey, isn't that like a little bit weird? And she's like, don't you understand? Every creature has a directive. And she describes like instinct, right? Different creatures have different instincts. They don't need to learn. It's just how they naturally do, right? Natural tendencies, natural instincts, etc. And she's like, yes, it is the directive, don't you see? And when I took this body, I got a directive to devour everybody. And now I'm gonna devour you. But actually, you know what? Given what we know in this story, I might be able to kill you, or you could kill me. And the story couldn't have that. So actually, I'm gonna leave for plot convenience. And so she leaves for plot convenience. The rest of the episode is all about Shinichi's parents. And we apparently, oh man, guys, we haven't told you yet, but like his mom has a scar from trying to protect Shinichi from boiling soup, and it's a real emotional thing, and it was actually.
Hey now, I think it was curry.
Oh, I'm sorry, curry. You're right. It was curry. Which, first of all, curry much better than soup. I would take curry over almost any soup. But second of all,
does that include or exclude chowders? Because I feel like a chowder's like its own thing,
I'd agree. But you know what? I still probably prefer curry to just about any chowder. Curry is one of the best foods out there. It's fucking great.
A good clam chowder. You want to seduce me? That's a good way to do it.
A good clam chowder might be able to be as good as like a mediocre curry.
Oh, hold on. No,
that's where I stand.
This is the most offensive thing you've said all episode. Because I was middling on Parasyte from when I first started watching it, but you come
you're
after
a
my boy
diehard clam chowder fan. No, I've crossed a line.
Motherfucker, have you ever had clam chowder in a bread bowl?
I have one time and it was delightful, but like curry
Yes?
though. I don't know. You know what, listeners, you can fight with me about Parasyte, but the more important battle will be people arguing on Twitter or Discord or wherever. Any chowder, like really good chowder versus any curry, because I maintain curry will almost always win. Sure, if you have like the worst kind of curry imaginable, then obviously a chowder. But if it's at least passable curry, no question.
I cannot believe you. I cannot believe we're friends. What is the matter? This is the most divisive thing you've ever said.
So we get this emotional flashback about a thing we were just introduced to because that's how pacing works. And then we follow that up with an emotional mom monologue of just being like, my young boy has changed so much. You're not the Shinichi you used to be. Which once again would have a lot more impact if we knew Shinichi before and if he had like more of a character at any point. But as it stands, he's still a bit of a bland bitch protagonist. So it's just a little bit weird and awkward and strange. And then the parents leave. Oh, it should be noted, another one of the themes in the show is also made very evident at around this time. Like the mom walks in on him and he's like, oh god, you need to remember to knock, because he was talking to his hand. And there is definitely an obvious like coming of age but like also puberty metaphor here as well. And you might think, wow, that so far you've listed a good handful of metaphors, and I would argue that's not even all of the symbolism the show has. It has more, which could be great if any of it was done well, but it's not. There's so much symbolic potential, but it's all handled so poorly. It truly is. Like, if Ayn Rand tried to write Death Note, you get Parasyte. That's what we have here. Or no, if Ayn Rand tried to write The Thing, right? If it was not John Carpenter's The Thing, but it was Ayn Rand's The Thing, you have Parasyte. That's what you have.
Man, all those Russian literature fans are gonna be so pissed at you.
I mean, she's not Russian literature. Well, I mean, I guess, but is her literature thought of as Russian literature? Because
I can't remember. I think she is Russian, right? I'm not just pulling that out of my ass.
Yeah, no, or at least like Eastern European or Russian, something like that. Let's see. You know, let's have a little Ayn Rand lesson. But I don't know if like her books count. Okay, yeah, she was Russian American. But in my mind, she was pretty like against her Russian roots a lot of the time.
Okay. Oh yeah. Born in Russia, died in New York. That makes sense.
She almost certainly would prefer to be considered like the greatest American author. Not just a great American author, the greatest. So like I guess it could be considered Russian literature, but I do not think Ayn Rand would put herself in that category.
Yeah, I don't know. Like all of the Ayn Rand I've read, well, let's just say I don't remember it because I didn't bother paying much attention.
No, that's fine. Let me tell you, Sean, that's okay. So in other words, Parasyte, I really didn't like it. I thought the concept was interesting. I think it could have like interesting notes about like more symbolism for like being in an abusive relationship, him and his hand. All of the symbolism that it tries to go for but fails at, it has potential there. To make a comparison, like I said far earlier, to Talentless Nana, right? Talentless Nana, I said it was trying to be a very smart show, but it wasn't smart enough to do so.
My pin is still stuck in it. Let me just
yeah,
there we
unpin
go.
it.
Got it.
There we go.
Talentless
Nana was trying to be a very smart show.
derail you there, but
But it didn't seem like the actual like creators were smart or clever enough to be as smart as they wanted to be in the storytelling. Nonetheless, it at least felt like a sincere attempt, at least much more than Parasyte. Parasyte, it doesn't feel like it's trying as hard as Talentless Nana, but it's so much more up its own ass. Like, which is why I had my little opening of how confident I am of reviews talking about how it's some like deep psychological, metaphorical, brilliant bullshit. And I'm hoping that's not the majority of people, but I'm really worried that it's far too many people that have bought in to the pretentious but ultimately vacuous crap that is Parasyte.
Okay, then Rem, I have to ask, what do you think its mal rating is?
Oh, fuck. Okay, let's see. This is the question of, like, do I believe the weebs have been taken in by it? Because inherently, I think a lot of weebs reviews will just be like, yeah, it was neat and edgy, right? And so at least a 7. Oh god, I'm gonna say the people who loved and thought it was super deep bring it up to a 7.5, maybe a 7.6. I'm not going to like an 8 though. I have more faith in the weebs than that.
Well, Rem, with about 684,000 ratings,
Oh god.
Parasyte the Maxim, all 24 episodes put together, has a total rating of 8.42.
No! It was what I feared worst. Oh no! They
Yep.
were all taken in. Oh no!
Though, see why I say we're gonna get emails? I personally was okay with it. I thought it was a good junk food show, personally. But the people that love this show really love this show, Rem. Like, here's a few
Yeah,
review
that was my
excerpts.
worry.
Now, this one, the opening line of this review is about an anime we haven't covered yet, but we will soon. So just take this into account. It's just the phrasing of it, which is really nice.
Sure.
If Tokyo Ghoul is fast food, then Parasyte is fine dining.
Oh no!
I could read that whole
What an
review, but
insult.
that line alone is a good thing.
Whatever Tokyo Ghoul is, from this it seems like you're not great, admittedly, from that review alone. But I have to believe they've done you dirty with that comparison.
The Tokyo Ghoul fans would agree with you. I'll tell you that right now. Here's one. You're gonna love this. What makes a human? What makes a monster? Each of us have a bit of both in us, and it's up to you which one you want to be.
It really is. It's what I've been railing against. It's that same vacuous metaphor. Oh man, what if so it's Parasyte, right? But the actual parasite isn't the parasites. The parasites are actually the people.
Oh, by the way, that was a 9 and an 8 review score.
Oh god.
Okay. This one uses a quote from the show for the opening line. Flies know how to fly without being taught. Spiders know how to spin webs without being taught. Why is that? Here's what I think. Flies and spiders are simply following an order. I believe all lives on Earth have received orders of some kind. Don't humans have any directive? When I took over this human's brain, I received a directive. It said, devour the species.
Fuck. Yep, that'd be the one. They're like, oh man, it's so fucking deep, so
8 out of
articulate.
10, by the way.
Oh, this hurts me. I'm getting
let's see.
a look in.
Oh, this one's fun. Parasyte is a nice, with 5 eyes, a real gem within the rocks, which is not the phrase. That one's only an 8 out of 10. Parasyte is unlike many horror and seinens we see today. It is both of those done right. That's 9 out of 10.
Gonna agree to disagree on that one. I feel like, Sean, I feel like we could totally just end up doing an entire segment. We could maybe eventually we'll have a post banter.
Anime you hate.
Yeah. Just I think that could be a potential bonus episode. Who knows? I just want to ask a question. If you Control F the page you're on, I don't know if all the reviews are there in their entirety. But if you could just type in psychology, or at least the first few letters of that, and see if and how often that comes up, because I feel like people will be like, what a psychological masterpiece, a la Death Note, right? Just the twists and the turns, and really gets into the human psyche. I feel like a lot of people will have that opinion, and I need to know. I need to see if there's any.
If I was looking at it on a PC, I would do that for you.
Ah, fuck. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's a little hard to do the PC without a bunch of clickety-clackities and having Dylan get angry at me, so I've been using my
Fair
phone.
enough. Nonetheless, Parasyte, not good. If you want something that is East Asian, that has actual metaphorical symbolism, that actually has some depth to it, a really nice story, interestingly told, some dark twists and turns, don't watch Parasyte the Maxim. Watch Parasyte. Great film. Great movie. Strongly recommend that one.
Yeah, no, that is a great movie. Nothing to do with this show.
No, it's just it hits a few of the same beats as this show, but it's good. So if you need to watch a Parasyte, watch that one, not this one.
Or just watch John Carpenter's The Thing if that's what you really want.
Truly, there's so many better options.
There are.
Or hell, Tokyo Ghoul. I've never seen it, but I don't trust that person's taste, so I have confidence that it's better.
I can't wait till we cover it because it's been one of our most requested anime, like, within the past 2 years. And I just haven't touched it because I missed the Tokyo Ghoul train initially when it first came out because I think I was, oh God, I forget where I was in my life when I was there, but I definitely wasn't in the mind space for Edge for the sake of Edge. But I can't wait to see what people think of it because all I know is that Tokyo Ghoul fans have historically been done dirty multiple times. So we'll have to see if they'll be done dirty one more time by you.
Yeah, well, I mean, statistically likely.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, just one final thing about the reviews. There's usually a little chart showing the percentage of how many reviews are like what out of 10 they are. Care to guess what percent of these reviews are reviewed 10 out of 10?
Oh no. See, this actually brings up a very interesting question because I don't know, like, the weeb mentality for going full 10 out of 10. I don't know how often they tend to do that generally. I know their amalgamation ratings. I've gotten a good grasp on that. So what percentage of total ratings are 10 out of 10?
Yes.
I'm gonna say that like 15% of people think that this is a near perfect show.
Okay, you'd be wrong. It's actually 18.4%.
Okay, I was in the ballpark.
But it was just
Still
much
too
higher
many.
than you expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 out of 10 was 31%, 8 out of 10 is 30%, and 7 out of 10 is 13%. And then it goes down to 3 out of 10, 3.8% for 6 out of 10. And then 1%, and then below 1% for anything below. Like people who gave this a 1 or a 2 combined maybe make 1,500 votes.
Oh my God.
Just in case you wanted to be a lot more depressed.
I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't rate it a full like 1 or 2. I'd probably be in like the 3 or 4 camp.
Oof. Yeah, see, I feel like that's even more insulting.
There are very few shows that we've covered that I'd go full 1 and 2. This one, I'm thinking 3, maybe 3.5 is where I'd put Parasyte.
So you're one of the 0.2%. Good work, Rem. I knew you've always wanted to be there, but
Here I am.
And would you believe that a lot of our emails thought that you'd love this show?
It tries to be a lot of things that I would like.
Oh, who knows,
And
Rem?
that's-
Maybe finishing the series is what you need just to really get in the mindset of the show. I mean, you only watched 4 out of 24
episodes? Yo, fuck that. 20 more episodes? No, God, no. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
So if you guys want Rem to go deep into this madness, you know what you can do. But before we do that, Rem, I have one final question to ask you. Are you sure you don't want to watch some more Parasyte the Maxim with me?
Never been more sure in my goddamn life.
So thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, we really appreciate it. And before we get out of here, we do have just a little bit of house cleaning that we need to do. First and foremost is, yes, we've seen the messages. We've seen the emails. We've posted on Twitter at this point. We do remember the Karata game that Remington challenged me to a year ago almost.
The high stakes and now highly anticipated year in the making Karata game. It will be taking place within the next week after this episode is posted. So if you're hearing this podcast episode as it's coming out, then you're probably just days away from that great highly anticipated match coming up. We'll be posting it to our Patreon, but it won't be behind any paywalls. Anybody, even if you are not a patron, you will be able to watch it and check it out, see what the stakes are and who will end up winning. So get hyped for that. That is happening.
Yes, and we will also eventually post it on our YouTube channel as well as soon as we figure out how YouTube works. We've barely
working
figured
on all
out
the
podcasting,
details.
so
Working on all the details.
yes. And since that's a Remington promise, you know it's going to be punctual. And speaking of patrons and all our lovely people, if you'd like to help support the show directly, there are a couple ways you can do it. First and foremost, you can leave a review on whatever platform you listen on, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, or word of mouth is an excellent way for us to grow as well. And if you'd like to be even more helpful and even more directly support us, as well as gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus content, including bonus episodes and our weird pre-banters, and as well as getting your name read aloud allowed on the program, then you can head on over to patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you will get all kinds of lovely stuff, including these thank yous that we are going to give to Remington so I can stop rambling. I am so goddamn tired. I am out of oxygen. Rem, please, who are we thanking?
All right, I got you. I'll take over now. Don't worry, Sean. Don't worry about it. So, of course, we would like to thank all of our bland bitch protagonists as well as our magical girls. But moving on up, we reach the yandere waifus whose heads always split open into a million fleshy blades to flay our flesh. And on that list, we have Cheese Monkey, Sarah Birch, Kazu Morocco, Remington Chase, Hollywood stars and celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Juliana, Salty Pretzel, Glenn Michael Dolan, Ross Palmer, Jacob Livingston, H. Wood, Farmer Hopefully Things Are Better Weeb, Alexander Nasiensenyo, Rem Hub, Andrew Rawicki. I have the absolutely most astoundingly, astonishingly voluptuous five-head in all existence. Matthew B., Devin McCutcheon, Sage Schiffner, Reverse Gizmo. I made a gay adult film about two men building tension through having a cook-off and bonding with a dog they found. Hold up.
You all right there, Rem?
I need to...
Did someone find out that there's not much of a character limit to Patreon?
Yeah, all right, hold. Oh, it just cuts off. I made a gay adult film about two men building tension through having a cook-off and bonding with a dog they found. I call it T.
Oh, jeez.
I imagine there was more, but it's not showing up on Patreon. So, I'm sorry.
So, joke's on you.
Apparently, there's a character limit. It just didn't tell you. Peter Jojo is God tier
And if there's a way to see it,
Velocity.
Rem has no way of doing it because he's technologically stupid.
It's true. Ready to be isekai'd. Kenneth Reed, Remington Merrill, Kuma Alex from Aussieland, Apostle of the Church of Remington, Snap Snips. I've had enough, goddammit. It's a zero, Ichigo 015 simp, hashtag darling in the Franks, use the bullshit rule on it, XD. Flub Dub, Cub Hub, Stub Grub, Sub Bub, Rub Club, Tub, Bonesaw, Old Man Rom, Joshua Vals, Remington is not a man of culture, Fox and Boy, The Booty Knight, Andrew Sinclair, Jax, oh wait, okay, there we go, Jackson, thank you all so much. Huh, you guys are making us work for it, I'll tell you
well,
what.
they're making you work, really.
Yeah, Sean has it easy over there.
Honestly, I love it when people do this, only partially.
God, it's so hard.
Because I think to myself, hey, do these guys support any other content creators? What must they think? I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that.
So then we get to our next tier up. We get to the Boy Wizard tier over at Hogwarts. And this week, everybody on the Boy Wizard tier, they are getting their very own quote from the 79 best Harry Potter quotes all Potterheads know from teenvogue.com.
Oh god, I hate it. I hate it. Kill me now.
So first we have Spicy Hot Take. Spicy Hot Take, you have a good old classic. You're a wizard, Harry. Great quote there.
I mean, that's like what the quote everybody knows from Harry Potter, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and every Potterhead obviously then needs to know it. Delina Perez, you get, it matters not what someone is born, but what they grow to be. From good old Dumbledore himself.
I mean, yeah, of course, that's a Dumbledore one.
Yeah. Miguel DeLeon. Oh, what was that, Sean?
Is there any philosophy in the series that doesn't come from Dumbledore?
Not good. Miguel DeLeon, you get, the thing about growing up with Fred and George is that you sort of start thinking anything's possible if you've got enough nerve, from Ginny Weasley.
Hold on. Hold on.
If you didn't know that quote by memory, you're not a Potterhead according to Teen Vogue.
Okay, the first one was very iconic. The second one is definitely like, okay, it's a Dumbledore saying, so that makes some sense. This random quote about Fred and George from Ginny Weasley. Did they run out really quickly?
Good question. Good question, Sean. No answers though. No answers. So then I just did Miguel, right?
Yes.
All right, Pilkster, the Symphogear advocate. Pilkster, you are gonna get the lovely quote. When in doubt, go to the library, from Ron Weasley. That's a quote firm to my heart.
I mean, that quote is obviously good. That quote. If anybody remembers that quote from the series, they did exactly what I just did and thought Hermione said that, right?
All right, then Then we have rare, I'm gonna simp Hibike euphonium until it's reviewed Kumiko. You get not my daughter, you bitch. Molly
See,
Weasley.
that's a good one.
I mean,
That's
it has
good
a
one.
swear word in it. That's how you know it's a good quote.
No. Well, I mean, yes, for JK, yes. But let's be real. Wouldn't you love it if your mother walked up to somebody, called somebody a bitch, and evaporated them?
Time goes by. You get you're just as sane as I am, Luna Lovegood.
I mean, I love Luna. I love her to death. I suppose I feel like there are better Luna quotes. Is the thing.
Oh yeah, there's a few on the list. I'm not choosing. These are the 79 best, so I assume they are all equally good, Sean.
That's not how those lists work, my man.
For example, Killer Queen Requiem, you are getting twitchy little ferret, aren't you, Malfoy? Hermione Granger.
All right, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Enrique Perez Torres, you are going to get. Some of these are like not quotes from like characters, but just literally like from the book.
Oh, hey, that's cheating.
I agree. It's just like lines from the book, and then they, as the quote, just put the book.
Yeah, no, that's not. Did they even like? No. What? No.
All right, skipping over those because those are trash and cheating. I was on Enrique Perez Torres. You get once again. You show all the sensitivity of a blunt axe, nearly headless Nick.
Yes, the most important character in the films. Also, probably the worst chapter in the first book.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's reasonable.
Or was that the second book? I honestly can't remember because I usually skip that chapter.
Then we have MT the poet. Poet, you get a nice poetic quote. He can run faster than Severus Snape confronted with shampoo. Fred Weasley. Who?
Okay, that I like a
It's
Weasley
alright.
quote.
It's alright.
I'll accept that.
Then we get Tevin Poole. Tevin Poole. Down the same line, you get I'm a wizard, not a baboon, brandishing a stick. It does not list who said that. So fuck
See,
you.
I feel like what's this website? Teen Vogue?
Teen Vogue, yeah. Their journalistic integrity is questionable at best, frankly.
Yeah, for all we know, that could be just a frickin' Mandela effect from the book as far as we know.
Genuinely, any of these could just be made up quotes, and like other than You're a Wizard, Harry, I the others I like have faint enough memories of where you could just be fucking with, and I believe
this is true.
All right, dedicated sadist. You get you're a little scary sometimes. You know that? Brilliant, but scary. Ron Weasley. Oh, the sexual tension of that preteen. Then. We have Frack Me, Mr. Peanut Butter. Frack Me, Mr. Peanut Butter. You know, a quote that I've always found real solid. Why, dear boy, we don't send wizards to Azkaban just for blowing up their aunts. Cornelius Fudge.
Yes.
It's not a proper quote list until you got Cornelius Fudge on the list.
Yep. Because as we all know, everybody loves to quote politicians.
So thank you all. But finally, last but not least, we get to Chefino Musco tier. And you know what? The Chefino Musco tier, getting Corey in the house. All of you guys are getting your very own Parasyte. That's what you're getting. You're welcome.
Oh, great. So we're going to have people Googling these things and having nightmares for days?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I take no responsibility.
All right. So, Amoto Aigao Uwu Waluigi for life OO. Your Parasyte is actually Waluigi. Waluigi, who has never paid any taxes. Very irresponsible. He's never contributed to the Mushroom Kingdom, and yet he is still invited to all of the events. You might think...
Well, not all the events. He's still not in Smash.
It's true. There might be a correlation there. But yeah, so there you go. There's your Parasyte. Unfortunate hair care accident or attempt to become Endeavor. Your Parasyte is... you and your unfortunate hair care accident. After that, obviously, you're gonna visit your Parasyte, which is the American healthcare system. It'll help your parasites, but it's also one of the greatest parasites we face today. We have...
You know, I was thinking you were going to talk about, like, actual insectoid parasites or, like, germ-like parasites. This is much worse.
Almighty Sinner, you are Sean, who's been leeching my life force for upwards of 2.5 years now, so...
If anything, mate, it's mutual.
Then we have Touchy Diplomat, all lowercase. You can't get them confused, of course. Touchy Diplomat, well, if you're getting diplomatic, you know, there's a route I really want to go.
Look, man, if you want to go that route, we can just take it to the landscaping place.
Yeah, you know what? Four Seasons hotels. They there you go, Tajima. That's your parasite. Why are they a parasite? Because clearly they are unnecessary. Any mediocre or moderately capable landscaping company could do the same job just as well. So there we go. Circumvent that one a little bit. Silicon Spectre. Silicon Spectre. The parasite that I'm going to give you is you get the movie Parasite, the Oscar-winning movie Parasite. That one's all yours, Silicon Spectre. Congratulations.
Wow,
That's a good
they
one.
get the only good one.
So thus far, yeah. Last but not least, we have capital T Touchy Diplomat remembers the school days he spent alone. And you know what? You get the Parasite. We're leaning into this apparently. Which is student debt and predatory loans.
Oh god, oh it hurts.
So yeah, I mean, who could have thought that the end of this episode would go this direction? But it has. You know,
Oh,
here we
God.
are.
It's more scary than the anime.
So, we really appreciate it. And if you guys would like to contact us, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can either tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter or send an email over on to animeoutofcontext@gmail.com. Perhaps complaining about the length of our episodes, which have gotten very long recently.
Yep, yes they have. And we're sorry, Dylan. But thank you all so much for tuning in as always. Don't forget to love each other. Times are tough, but we're gonna make it through. We've got the power of God and anime on our side after all. And as always, don't fuck your sister. Also, Dylan sent me a picture of his leg. It's got a test on it. Is it a faux pas to send someone else's leg pic to someone else? Do you think Dylan would mind if I sent you his leg pic? I just sent it back to Dylan because I'm a dumbass. Hold on. I'm gonna delete that before he sees it. It's like, wait a minute. It's like I got a dick pic from him and I'm like, ooh, do I send... I mean, they all look the same, right? So maybe he won't notice. It's a shame you're probably not recording because I still am. All right, I'm gonna stop recording now.